The Springboks are out to restore faith and pride this week. Our world champions take on Italy in the second test in Gqeberha, or Port Elizabeth as it is still known on the N2, and have a point to prove. And in this episode, you are going to get a front row seat as to how exactly Dr. Rassi Erasmus plans to go about dismantling a stubborn Italian side. Let's be very clear, guys. Last week, the Springboks were not good enough. They basically wrapped up the win over the Azzurri in the first half, and then what we saw in the second half from South Africa was mediocre. And that might be a euphemistic way of describing it. And so Doc has rung the changes for the second test in GQ. 16 changes from the 23 that did duty in Pretoria, in fact. Here's our team. Up front, Thomas the Tank du Toit comes in to start alongside Malcolm Marx and Willie Le Roux. In the second row, we have two changes, with Salman Murat coming in as the skipper, and he'll have Ruan Norkier alongside him. The loose trio sees just one change. Marco van Staden is there again, as is Jasper Visser, but the World Player of the Year, Pieter-Steph du Toit, comes in at blindside flank. Let's look at the back line now. The best scrum half in South Africa, in my opinion, Grant Williams, will wear the number 9 jersey. Great to see him back after all his injuries. He's going to have Manie Lebok as his halfback partner. Andre the Giant Esterhuizen will partner Kanan Moody in midfield. I'm excited about this because Esterhuizen has been knocking on the door for a while now. Obviously very difficult to displace Damian de Allende, but Moody has been more of a right wing until now, and there's long been talk of him playing at 13. I'll be watching with great anticipation to see how he goes there. The old warhorse Makazole Mapimpi is back in the side on the left wing, with Edwil van der Merwe getting a chance on the right wing. And then completing a full house of changes in the back line, Willie Le Roux will start in what is going to be his 100th test match for the Springboks. Before we look at the bomb squad, let me take a minute to praise Willie. This is a man who has come in for his fair share of criticism over the years. I would say he burst onto the scene in 2013 and made an immediate impact. Le Roux looked like a dangerous player with great pace and silky running skills. Over the years, we've seen less of that and more organizational skills from Willie. He marshals our attack better than anyone. His vision is probably his finest asset in my view. And Willie Le Roux sees things before others do on a rugby field, and I'm not sure you can actually coach that. Yes, he is not perfect, but I think this episode is not about dealing with Le Roux's weaknesses. I would just say that no one is perfect, and so it's a case of weighing up what Willie gives you in terms of his strengths against what he doesn't give you as far as weaknesses go. And that would be true of any player, quite frankly. And for me, the positives trump the weaknesses. That said, he isn't first choice anymore and might even be third in line now in the fullback queue. And I do wonder if this might be his last test as well. We'll have to wait and see. Interestingly enough, his debut for the Boks was also against Italy, so perhaps fitting that the Italians are again the opponents on this occasion, almost as if things have come full circle for Willie Le Roux, and I would just like to salute this Springbok legend right now. Okay, let's have a look at that bomb squad. Jan-Hendrik Wessels effectively replaces Bongi Mbonambi. Oxenchair drops to the replacements, and Asenati Ntlabakanye will come on for his Springbok test debut. Kobus Visser will come on, and I'm hoping Jasper will remain on the field because they are about to become the 37th pair of brothers to represent our country. Ivan Ruus is part of the setup as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes. I'm a big fan, FYI. And it's a 5-3 split this week. Kobus Reinach, Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu, and Ethan Hooker make up the 3 backs. Hooker set to come on for his Bok debut, of course. Now guys, the bomb squad is a massive issue here. Last week, we lost the second half to Italy. That is the first time in 15 tests that the Springboks were outscored in the second half of a test match. Doc has not held back. He said after the Loftus test he was frustrated, and so we have an almost entirely new bench for this test, and not just different personnel. Look at the profile. In last week's bench, only Jan-Hendrik Wessels was under the age of 30. This week, only one of them is over the age of 30. That's Gqeberha. What does this tell us? I don't think it tells us the older men are finished, but they are certainly on notice. Look, Father Time is the one man in all of sport that is undefeated. And as much as we love our heroes, we know that they cannot go on forever. Rassie is not the kind of coach to discard someone after one bad game, but there is a lot of competition for places, and if a younger, hungrier player comes in and puts his hand up, then the older man is going to be under pressure, regardless of how many World Cups he has helped the Boks win. And I believe that is what we are seeing here. Worth also pointing out that it's also not just about age, but also motivation and even complacency. Now, with all of that being said, let's look at the matchday 23 that Gonzalo Quesada is putting out, starting with their forwards. Danilo Fischetti, I'm a fan. I think his work at the breakdown is exceptional, especially for a loose head prop. He's not a bad scrummager either. Tommaso Di Bartolomeo is the hooker, and Simone Ferrari is again the tight head prop. I know some of you were very disappointed last week that I didn't make a car joke, but you know what? Ferrari has been part of the setup for the Italians for a long time now. He's not a new player. It's also not new that they have a Ferrari in their 15 or their matchday 23. I mean, this man played against us at the 2019 Rugby World Cup. So you guys can make the card jokes. I'm going to refrain, okay? It's the same front row as last week, and the second row is also the same. Nicolo Cannone captains the side again with Andrea Zambonin alongside him in the locks. One change in the back row is Sebastian Negri. He comes in. I actually think this strengthens them. Manuel Zuliani is at blindside, and then, well, actually open side, because don't forget that their 6, just like everyone else in the world except us in Argentina, their 6 is the blind side, 7 is the open side. So yeah, I just got a little confused there for a second. And you got Ross Vincent stepping in for the injured Lorenzo Cannone. In the backs, a few changes for the Azzurri. Alessandro Garbisi takes over at 9 for his namesake Fusco. Giacomo Daré is again in the 10 jersey. The centre pairing is the same as last week, Marco Zanon and Tommaso Menoncello. But then Jacopo Trulli moves from fullback to left wing as Simone Gessi misses out. Louis Liner is again on the right wing, with the 21-year-old Mirko Belloni coming in at fullback for his first start for his country. And then looking at their replacements, also just a couple of changes. Pablo Dimchev, Mirko Spagnolo and Mohamed Hassa are again the replacement front row. Matteo Canali retains his spot, but Alessandro Iseko drops from the starting 15 to the bench. David Odiase is there again, but Stephen Varney is a new face, with Garbisi having been promoted to the starting 15. And then Giulio Bertaccini is again player 23. Look, I think we can expect pretty much the same thing from them that we saw last week. I think Negri coming into the starting 15 actually makes their pack stronger. That's a plus for them. But I also think the big question is, can they do it again for a second week in a row? And perhaps another big question is, will we allow it for a second consecutive Saturday? My gut feeling is the answer to both those questions is no. Now, instead of doing a like-for-like comparison this week, I want to instead pay tribute to the Italians. They are in South Africa without 8 of their regulars, including the world-class Nacho Brex and their captain Michele Lamaro, as well as stars like Ange Capuozzo, Tommaso Allen and Federico Ruzza. They were expected to be the lambs to the slaughter, and in Pretoria, they showed us up. They were outstanding in terms of their determination and their courage. They competed brilliantly at the breakdown and slowed our ball down really well. They also defended bravely. And while we were all frustrated by our inability to put them away in Pretoria, we should also say well done to the Azzurri for not laying down before us. They came here to play test rugby, and they did just that. Quesada can be very proud of his charges. Now, I mentioned the breakdown there, and there were some of you who noticed a bit of suspect play on the part of the Italians. We saw offsides, didn't we? More than one of those, at least. Now, that is on the referee and his or her assistants, isn't it? It's something that the Boks also noticed internally without saying as much. Springbok Laws and Discipline Advisor Gqeberha says the Boks approached World Rugby's refereeing department for clarity on one or two things, particularly around the breakdown where the team was outplayed. Paper says they had a few questions in order to better understand whether they need to adjust. Make of that what you will. Okay, look, so with all of this being said, I think we're going to see a very different Springbok side on Saturday. And not just in terms of personnel, but the overall performance and intensity levels too. I believe we'll see the best parts of the first half in Pretoria, in the first half in GQ, and then we'll see the second half we should have seen at Loftus in the second half at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. I'm confident Doc cracked the whip this week at training. Players who underperformed last week, who are playing again this week, will play properly. Players who have been brought in know full well this is an opportunity to promote themselves in the pecking order. And I think the players are going to go all out to make the occasion a memorable one for Willie Le Roux.
Pressure will be applied here. Vandenberg feeds the scrum. The Azzurri holds strong. And Vandenberg must clear. He goes again!
And so, with that in mind, I think we're going to blow the Italians away. I'm going to go with 55-14 as my score prediction. Plus, it'll be a lovely birthday present for yours truly. That's right, guys, the 12th of July just happens to be my birthday. And the Springboks have previously prevailed on the 12th of July. Back in 2003, we beat the Wallabies. And in 2008, we defeated the All Blacks on my birthday. What a beautiful birthday present that was. Ricky January with that late chip and chase kick try. Beautiful, beautiful. At Carisbrook in Dunedin, nevertheless. And if you'd like to give me a birthday present, you can click on the Super Thanks button down there. It's the heart button with a $sign inside of it. My late grandmother once gave me 2,000 Rand for my birthday. So let that be the standard. Just kidding. But I would be very grateful for anything you feel like giving me on my special day. You can also crock roll the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. And earlier this year, I did a video about Willie Le Roux, wondering if this might be his last year. You can check that out over here. And if you've already seen it, I would recommend this video about all those Springboks over the age of 30 and how much longer they can go on for. That's over here. And I'll see you next time.